Hello again, you extraordinary subscribers. Welcome back, everybody, to the Hemingway Land YouTube channel. So before we begin, people, announcements. Next week, next Friday, we will be debuting new properties as we normally do on our regularly scheduled Friday. I, however, will not be around next week. Ergo, a little bit of Latin, we will not be doing a weekly video. Try ever so hard to contain your disappointment. Now, I know some of you are thinking, Hemingway, why? Why are you so GD lazy? Here's the thing, people. Next week I will be traveling again, traveling here, traveling there, doing no doubt important things, businessy things for the business. Fortunately, I will not have to fly next week. I'll be doing everything in a car, which is not to suggest that the places I'm going are close to Las Vegas. They're not, but I prefer to drive. Anyway, point being, there is some research that I'm doing. There's some people that I want to meet, and some of this I feel requires in-person get-togethers and rendezvous. So that'll be what I'm doing next week, and in the interest of freeing up my schedule ever so slightly, we have decided to jettison the video next week. But for all of you who are crestfallen about this, I will be back the following week with I want to say properties that are in a region we have never previously before bought, listed, or sold land. It may be that week or it may be the week after. I don't know. The point is that new stuff is coming, so it won't just be the usual go-tos, the usual filler, etc. Anyway, so no video next week, but check the email blast that goes out at 12:30 in the morning Pacific time to discover whatever is going live on the website next week. With all that said, special thanks to all our valued customers. Starting off this week in the Land of Enchantment, more specifically Taos County, sold some land to Joe and Kareem. Special thanks to Joe and Kareem. In Valencia County, sold some land to Todd and Dion. Special thanks to them. And in Nevada, the Silver State sold another property in Elko County. This one to Veronica. Special thanks to Veronica. It should be noted, guys, the Elko properties, oh my God, what did we bought like 15 properties out there a year and a half ago, something like that. Slowly, ever so slowly, they have been disappearing from the website. As it currently stands, I think I have 3 or 4 left. I think the price reductions have helped a great deal with that. Whatever the case, what I will say is that, I pick these regions. I don't know a lot about them. I kind of talked about this in previous videos. And I begin to research things. What's an area that may be desirable to some of our audience? How much should I be buying these things for? How much should I be selling them for, etc. Not all these are going to be home runs. Some of this is a real trial and error process. But knowing what I know now about Elko County, I know that I am prepared to approach it again, not immediately, but before the end of the year. And we'll hopefully have a better sense of where I should be buying and how much I should be paying, etc., etc. Additionally, I've pumped the brakes a little bit on Nevada acquisitions because we're not selling a lot in Nevada. So I think that many of you are not looking for land in Nevada, or I haven't reached the Nevada audience yet. I don't know. But we're working on it. We'll be back before the end of the year with more acquisitions out there and in Elko County. So look forward to that. With all that said, people, let's get to this week's new properties. So we're back in Yavapai County this week with some new properties in the Bridge Canyon Country Estate subdivision. Now, point of fact, people, the 2 properties we'll be talking about today aren't completely new. We listed them last year, last January. They sold in day on terms. The person buying on terms got about 9 months into his contract, decided he couldn't use the land anymore because he was moving overseas. I got distracted with the new website, and now, half a year later, I'm finally getting around to relisting them. And normally, people, when we relist properties, we just put them in the email blast and we don't profile them in the video. That said, I really liked these at the time we listed them. I thought they were the best lots we were offering out here, and I wasn't surprised that they sold so quickly, and thus, I felt it was worth reviewing them again as we re-debut them now, a year and a half later. So, these 2 properties today are reference numbers YVAZ7060A and B. They are the 2 lots you see listed here for $8,500 each. And unlike the other lots we currently have remaining in this region, these 2 properties are adjacent. Additionally, guys, it is also worth noting that like with the other properties out here, we're offering a financing option on these of $3,000 down and $250 a month for 30 months with 9 months, same as cash. So, with all that said, let's bring these up on the map and discuss. So, as a refresher course, the Bridge Canyon Country Estate subdivision is located about halfway between Lake Havasu in the west and the Grand Canyon up north, roughly about an hour and a half from each. It is located in the northern part of Yavapai County in the region you see here, sandwiched between the I-40 and Route 66, just west of Seligman. Our subject properties are located more specifically up here in Unit 14, about 4 miles north of the I-40, just off of Via del Oro, which is one of the main arterials in the region. And if we zoom in here on the map, you will see that both our properties are located here off of Campagna Circle. Now, before I get to the property photos, which are, shall we say, limited in their scope, I do want to point out here on the map that you can see some developed home sites here, here, and here. And I'm pointing these out because despite its a relatively rural setting, this is a subdivision that a lot of people end up developing land in or using recreationally because it is so easy to access the nearby highways and hence the nearby attractions. More on that in a minute. For now, however, this is also my way of saying that the roads out here, cue the photos, get driven quite a bit and thus are surprisingly easy to get around on. Now, despite the development that I just pointed out, utilities have yet to make their way to all but the parcels closest to the highway. So, like a lot of the neighbors out here, anyone electing to develop the land will need to bring along some solar panels. That said, there's still a lot of people who develop land out here or who use it recreationally. And why do they do that? Well, because this subdivision has the very enviable distinction of, let's throw it up on the screen, no HOA, no annual dues, no covenants, no restrictions, and thus, no time limits on building. This, of course, opens you up to develop the land in the less traditional, quote-unquote, less traditional ways that are normally difficult to get permitted elsewhere. And to be clear, people, Yavapai County is not without formal zoning, but it is a lot more permissive in a region like this. More to the point, however, the lack of an HOA or HOA-type restrictions, shall we say, means that the land can be used for RVing and camping, which, as it turns out, the county is also pretty laid back about. And why is that important? Well, as it turns out, there's a lot to see and do in northern Arizona, and a lot of people like to spend their summer vacations out here seeing and doing those various things. Of course, the Grand Canyon is the obvious one, but within this region, you're also close to 3 national forests, Prescott, Coconino, and Kaibub, as well as lakes such as Lake Havasu and Lake Powell, and numerous state parks and attractions such as Glen Canyon, Walnut Canyon, Wupatki, Side Rock, the Sunset Crater Volcano, the Meteor Crater Non-Volcano, and I'm sure at least 24 other things I'm not aware of. In addition, guys, you can go to the rodeo in Prescott if you're visiting during the summer months, and do some skiing outside of Flagstaff if you're visiting during the winter months. In summation, people, a lot to do out here, and if you're the type that does like to RV around the country during your vacations or retirement, then it is an advantage to own land in an area like this so you can stay rent-free whenever you please. And of course, people, if it's a day ending in Y, it means that we're also debuting new properties in Taos County. More specifically, Tres Piedras Estates this week with 7 new non-adjacent quarter-acre parcels. And it should be noted, guys, that while I prefer to only debut properties from one state per week, we're actually in the process of buying quite a few lots out here, so it's very likely we'll have new ones every week or every other week for the foreseeable future. That said, we are getting a lot of parcels adjacent to ones we've sold in the past, so previous buyers are getting right of first refusal on those, and that's all my way of saying that however many you see profiled in these weekly videos, there's at least 1 or 2 each week that are being sold offline. Whatever the case, let's bring up the map and go through the highlights. So, as usual, this is Tres Piedras right here, and this week we've got 1 new lot going live in Unit 7 here, 2 new lots close to the highway in Unit 8 right here, and in the illogically located Unit 9, we've got 3 new properties debuting this week as well. In addition, guys, and this is one I want to take a moment to highlight, we've got this quarter-acre lot in Unit 6. Now, this one is notable not only because Unit 6 is super close to the highway, as you can see here, but this specific parcel is also close to development, and yes, shockingly, one of the few power lines that exist in this region. Point being, there's more development down here because of the access to utilities, which in turn means that it should be far easier and more affordable for you to get connected to the grid and to develop this specific parcel. With all that said, going live on the website next week, we'll be back in New Mexico yet again, people. And because I will not be here to introduce or explain the new properties, it's very likely we'll be listing in regions you're all very, very, very familiar with. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. And, of course, we'll hold off on the new properties in the new regions until the following weeks. Bear with me on this, guys, because the rollout of new properties I keep referring to will be starting in about 2 or 3 weeks. So check out the email blast next week, tune in the following week, and all the weeks after to learn more. Until such a time, have a great 14 days, have a great Cinco de Mayo, have a great Mother's Day, and we will see you back here for the next video.